All right. Well, welcome everyone to episode 4 with your 2 favorite brown girls, to your favorite podcast. I mean, I don't know. So we're going to start off. We've decided that we're going to start kind of giving a little bit of structure to the beginning. You know, We're learning, we're moving, we're grooving. Got some feedback. And so we're going to do a little weekend recap.
Yeah. I mean, for those who don't know, we record on Mondays.
Yes.
So it's the perfect time to do a weekend recap because me and Jackie go weekends without seeing each other. So
Yes.
a lot of the things I share, she doesn't even know happened.
That's true. And there's something specific that had to have happened this weekend because you hobbled in here. So what the hell?
I will say it's been a weekend. Okay. A lot's happened this weekend. You know, usually in the dating world, you get emotionally hurt, but this weekend I got physically hurt.
What does that even mean?
It's not what people are thinking. I didn't get
did you get beat up?
I did not get beat up like any of that, but I was out in LA on Friday night and, you know, I may or may not have been drinking. Not saying that this was the reason because...
Were you messy? Were you messy boots?
I wasn't messy. There may or may not have been a pothole. Some of us say that I fell into a 1 centimeter. I beg to differ. But there was a pothole or some sort of crack or, you know, it's fuzzy. But I dipped down and there was a big twist and then... Yeah.
Oh, damn.
Immediate ice, I mean, my whole plans changed. I ended up just being in LA. I was supposed to go home.
Well, how could you? Like, you couldn't drive then?
Yeah, it was my right leg. So I couldn't drive. And don't ask me how, but I ended up being in LA until Saturday at 3 a.m. So.
The sauna tales are just...
You know, at this point, I'm surprised Netflix hasn't reached out to me because they don't even need to script any of this.
They don't need to script anything. It's
every
built
weekend
in.
is something unique is happening, especially weekends I'm out with Aisha.
That's true.
There's always some sort of trouble or shenanigans
It's shenanigans. There's always shenanigans. You guys aren't really trouble together.
Yeah.
But there's always shenanigans. There's always something happening.
I'm surprised this weekend wasn't with her because this...
because this is... Because you're not a clumsy person. Sana's not clumsy. But this has happened before, though. I feel like there's been like a couple... Maybe one. I could be making this up couple. But I know that there is another time.
Jackie, don't air me out like this. You know, from 20 to 30, if it's happened 2 or 3 times, I'm winning still, okay? But I will agree. In this circumstance, this is the first time it's happened. But out in LA, it has happened once or twice before.
Yeah, it sounds like...
It's been a long time, though. It's been years since it did happen.
It's like LA has it out for your ankle.
I just need to start walking around in sneakers.
You really do. You need to be...
Or I need to just look down. I everywhere. I just need to look down. Don't even look up.
Or maybe we're not drunk and wandering
or maybe
the streets.
I just stay sober. You know what? You're right. That's a better option. Just stop drinking altogether. I'm sure my parents would love that. My parents would love it. Just stop drinking. Call it a day. But, you know, some people go out. They lose their phones. They break some shit. I go out and I break myself.
You break yourself.
So, I mean, I'm a hazard to myself, so...
Which...
At least that's that.
I feel like, in a way, sometimes that's easier to deal with.
Yeah.
Because there's not necessarily money involved.
It's my own consequences.
Right. It's like, have you heard people who are just like, yeah, like I don't need insurance for myself. I'd rather just have insurance if I hurt someone else because that means money.
Yeah.
So, and I don't want to pay that out. With me... I'll deal with it. Like, I'll figure it out, right? Like, I'll make my own cast, splint, whatever I need to do.
Literally, I'm here today. This shows my work ethic. I show up no matter what. But I am sad because, you know me, I love working out. So
you do.
It's a few days of not working out. I'm not going to say I haven't eaten the last 2 days to balance it out, but the intake has been low.
Okay. Trigger warning, toxic diet culture.
No, actually it has nothing to do with it. That has nothing to do with it. I just, you know when things happen to you and like I'm injured, I'm lying in bed, I'm like, the last thing I'm worried about is food. I'm like, food is downstairs. Like,
yeah, you just like, it's honestly almost out of laziness.
It's out of laziness. Like, do I really want to get up?
I saw like this meme that's like, I can't believe people will get up at 5 a.m. to go work out. Like, I won't get up to even pee. Like, I'll lie there in pain.
Yeah.
Because like, just so lazy and you don't want to do it.
Which is so funny because I'll actually get up to work out, but I won't get up to get food. Food's like I gotta make it. I gotta.
There's so much that has to happen.
And then it's like my legs swollen, my ankles swollen. Do I really want to make that trek?
But there's also a good set of stairs in your house. So that's fair.
There's a good set of stairs.
This is valid. It's not because Sana's not promoting toxic diet culture.
I'm not. I eat a lot.
It's more because she's lazy.
I eat a lot when I can eat a lot.
Yes, that's true.
I'm someone
when there's fries involved.
I'm someone who almost always finishes a meal, and I don't understand girls that can't finish a meal because I'm like, don't leave a fry behind.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I will finish the burger. I will, there's very few circumstances where it's not being consumed.
That's very true. But what else happened this weekend? I feel like you're like, so much happened. Was that it?
A lot happened.
Were you dramatic?
No, a lot happened. A lot of revelations happened.
Okay.
As you know, I was kind of loosely, talking to somebody.
Right, and as you do.
As I do.
As you do.
And I guess you get to a point where, even though things are early on, but you get to a point where it's like, is this the right fit for me moving forward? Even though I'm not super invested right now, but am I willing to take it to that level where I am going to be super invested and then, or already seeing things that like, hey, I should probably wind it back. So that did happen. I made a decision to be like, no, what's best for me is to kind of us do our own things and figure out our own things. And I'm really proud of myself because I think sometimes
you should be.
I get caught up in the moment, and me now is so different because I'm not going to put up with anything. And like, I know my standards and I know what I want in life. And I'm not willing to just sit there and be like, because I think a lot of girls will get into like, well, maybe his mind will change, or like maybe I can show him he needs me.
Yes.
Or maybe
that is classic. Is classic girl.
Every girl thinks that. And even if they don't give you like the inclination that there's even hope for that. But as a female, you're like, oh, he just hasn't seen enough of me. Or he hasn't gotten a good enough taste.
Yeah, he hasn't. I haven't been able to do this for him. It's which is really funny because I'm not to fully interrupt, but obviously I'm interrupting because I'm kind of like that of just like, oh, you know what? I'm going to do something really nice for him.
Yeah. And then
he's going to see. He's going to see. And it's like,
he needs me.
Dummy. You're the one who's putting in all this effort and he's doing nothing and he's completely reaping the benefits.
And he's still not going to care. And I think before my ex, I think I would have fallen into that trap a little bit more. But who I am now, what I know I bring to the table, my self-worth, everything. No. You want me or you don't want me. I'm not going to sit here and convince you or think I can convince you.
Right.
It's done. Like, it's like, all right, no hard feelings, no harm, no foul. Yeah. You just move forward. It is like, it is what it is. But I think as females, you got to make that conscious decision because you can't just sit there and we all get stuck in this, like, it's going to change. If you're seeing the things that are not working for you, if they're telling you these things, don't think that they're like lying. No, like it is what it is.
Yeah, so believe them. Like believe them. Believe what they say.
Believe what they're saying. And if it's not working for you, you got to step out.
Well, I also feel like you can apply this to any situation, right? Like I know obviously you and I we're single. And so a lot of it is like within like kind of the dating realm. Yeah. And again, everyone take this with a grain of salt because I'm not married. But I think it's more so what I'm talking about is just even expressing your wants, expressing like what you need, right? What are your wants? What are your needs in this situation? So in any relationship, whether it's friendship or romantic, right? Dating, marriage. And again, for women, it's very hard for us to kind of speak up for ourselves. I think that's something that we're really not encouraged to do from a very young age. And then if you do, you're considered a bitch, right? You're bitter or whatever they label you as. And so I think this is actually like kind of just like a good lesson, right? Just like a good reminder of like, tell whoever you need to tell them what you need, tell them what you want. If your needs are being met or wants or whatever it is, have that conversation, like have the boldness, right? To stand up for yourself in a way and say, no, this isn't working.
Right. So ladies, know your standards. Ladies, know what you're going to put up with because they're not going to tell that man because I promise you from someone who's been in these situations multiple times.
Yeah.
it's not going to change. We all think we can change them.
It never changes.
It never changes.
No.
And you just got to, there's a line of others. You just move forward.
Well, I mean, I don't think about it. I personally don't think about it that way because it's like, again, all of my cultural references are from, social media. But it's like there's plenty of fish in the sea. And it's like, well, I mean, but it's all filled with trash.
No, it is filled with trash. No, I agree. It is. But there is. And, I read one thing. I think we've both read this thing where it's like, if they're not into you, find that unattractive.
Yeah.
And I find that unattractive
their lack of interest should be, in a way, like unattractive to you, right? You're no longer attracted to that, which, and if you are, which I know I've dealt with this, if you are still attracted, even though they are giving you signs that they are not interested in that way, then there's something clearly that you need to deal with.
Yeah, no,
and
for sure.
that you need to look into.
You know me, I'm the type when I make these choices, I flip the switch and I'm like,
you do. That's something that I do admire about you, and something because I lack. I really just, oh God, do I hesitate? Like I hesitate a lot, and I don't flip a switch well, how about this? I can flip a switch, and when I do, it's not as fast though. So that's what I do admire, is that when you're convinced and when you know it, you're like done. There's really nothing that they can say. Like I do find that personal conviction that you have are just like, no, I admire that a lot.
What's funny about me is I can still be super friendly with them, but I know mentally, like, don't take my friendliness wrong because I've already put you in a different pile.
Yeah. Like, no, I'm legitimately friends with you. I think that's another thing. You are a very sincere person. So when you're friends with them, it's like, no, we're friends, bro. Yeah. Like, that's
Don't think that means I'm still like flirting with you.
Yeah,
and like,
no.
That idea is gone now.
Yeah, no, that ship has sailed. It's gone. It's the Titanic. It's never coming back.
Yeah, that's with me. It's not easy to reel back in.
Yeah, that's true.
But anyways, so it was an eventful weekend. We have had not emotional problems, but what if you want to call it that way? Injuries, physical,
emotional.
Hunger, I guess.
Like, what is working? That's so mean to say.
That now that it's
is
Monday.
Anything working in your life right now?
Yeah, well, now that it's Monday, what is working is my career. I'm working.
How exciting!
Right, I got one good solid thing going for me, and that is a pretty important factor. So
I have one thing, everyone.
I have one thing. I can live without the rest.
That's true,
and I'm solid.
Yeah, because we do be needing that money. So
we do be needing that.
If career, which I feel like that's this sounds mean, and I don't mean it to be mean. But I feel like this is kind of where you and I have kind of differed.
Yeah.
Is career has never been, I don't want to say it's never been a strong point for you.
I went through a lot of different paths. Okay, it took me a while.
Start from the beginning.
Okay, all right. Ladies and gentlemen.
The career story.
Okay, so I went to college for finance, real estate, and law, thinking I was going to become a lawyer. Ever since I was in high school, it was like lawyer. There was never a plan B.
Yeah.
It was
why did you even want to be a lawyer, really?
Come on, even now, I think I'd be a kick-ass lawyer. But it's just...
wasn't for you.
You learn things about yourself, right?
Like, I'm not going to be a lawyer.
We're not going to be a lawyer. We're going to dive into this.
But I'm not going to get into law school. That's not going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, so then I picked finance and all that. I was like, it doesn't matter my undergrad. Let's just do something in business.
Right.
I'm going to go to law school.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. I was good at math.
You are good at math.
Let's do finance. I was until finance, and I was like, I fucking hate math. But
finance kicked your ass.
That was the backstory of it. So then I graduated college. I was like, well, typical person. I want to do a free year, a year off.
Yeah, that's right. Your gap year.
My gap year. Well, actually, during college, when me and Jackie met, I was working at Nordstrom, but Nordstrom was never a career for me.
Right.
Nordstrom was like a filler.
I mean, that was just a job. Like
a job, and I mean, if people want to know how hard I can work, like my work ethic is next level when I'm committed. Because
that's true.
I worked at Nordstrom 5 days a week. And my other 2 days were in college all day.
Yeah.
I didn't have one damn day off.
Yeah, that's true.
And I did that for 2 years.
And also, like, Nordstrom was, if you've never worked retail, if you've never worked food service or retail, if I could make a law that required everyone to work a year or two of retail or food service, I would.
Yeah.
Because I think that it really shows you what hard work can be.
Oh my God.
And you also get to deal with the general public, which is always so much fun. But you know what? It would actually you would start to have maybe a respect for people. Because that's kind of one of my biggest pet peeves, with people, is if you're rude to wait staff or sales staff. It's like absolutely no go. Like you're a piece of shit.
I'm also the type of that, I hang everything on the hangers.
Yes, I put put all my stuff. I refold things. Yeah. Like I'm trying to help you out. But no. But it was harder work.
It was. We were stylists, so we had a job that we had a separate phone for our job. So the job came home with us a bit. Not to mention I'm in college, so all the homework I had to do.
Yeah.
I had friends. I had a boyfriend. It was.
You had a life. Right?
I don't know how I managed, but here we are.
all without
shapes
drugs.
You, and not even coffee. Not one cup of coffee.
Even caffeine.
Not one cup of coffee. Not one energy drink. I'm a superhuman. Okay?
Round of applause for Sona.
Caesar,
input a round of applause right here.
But anyway, so that we graduated. We quit Nordstrom when we graduated because I was like, well, I'm done. What do I need to be here for?
Right. Well, again, it was never going to be your path.
It was never going to be my path. Retail was never my path. It was just the fun moment. And thank God, because I made some wonderful friends that we are still friends. I've met you, and look at our journey.
Here we are.
Everything happens for a reason.
Everything happens for a reason.
So then I graduated, and I was like, I want to take some time off. Of course, my parents were like, girl, what are you doing? We're from the Asian culture. There's no time off.
There is no time off. You're already behind.
You're already behind.
when you're born, you're already a year behind.
You're already behind.
You're perpetually a year behind.
So then I was like, okay, let me work at a law firm. Let me just, before I take this dive, let me just see what this is going to be about.
Which wasn't a dumb
I agree.
idea.
It wasn't a dumb idea.
It wasn't dumb. I mean, I think we all knew that law was not going to be the path, but at least you put some, you explored it a little bit. Yeah.
So I worked at the law firm, and I soon realized that this is not for me. I'm too social. I'm too personable. I can't be stuck at a desk all day. I mean, I went from working a sales job, which is what I know,
right,
to now sitting at a desk writing all day.
Yeah.
I was like, no, I'm driving myself crazy sitting here. It doesn't fit my personality.
The days are long.
I loved my boss. I loved the people I worked with, but I was like, I do not see me doing this long term. I'm going to be miserable. Still took the LSAT, thinking well, let's force myself. And then I just couldn't.
Wasn't happening.
It just wasn't happening for me. But then, because I never had a plan B, I went into this series of mind fuck of what do I do with my life now?
Yeah.
I ended up sticking at that law firm for 2 years.
You were there for a while.
2 years.
Oh my God, do you remember Tom?
Oh, we're not going to talk about Tom because I don't know if Tom's going to listen to this, okay?
No, we don't talk about him. That just popped into my head. I totally forgot about Tom. Tom, wherever you are, we hope you're doing well.
We hope you're doing well.
Hope he's doing all right.
That's hilarious. Okay. He made an appearance. I didn't think he was. Anyways.
God, Tom.
But, so I ended up being there for a while.
Yeah.
At one point, I left and I came right back.
Yeah, that's right. You were done, and then, all of a sudden you were back.
It was, comforting because I didn't want to face the reality of, what are you doing? And then
that's hard.
It is hard.
That's honestly one of the worst feelings to have is feeling lost and not knowing what the next step is in anything.
Yeah. And I went, and I think for people don't understand how hard it is coming from a South Asian background and feeling lost. Daily, my parents, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing with your life? And they take it as stop being lazy. And it's
right.
You know damn well I'm not lazy.
Yeah.
It's just when you're so much in this clouded space, I couldn't even get myself to sit there and think what do I want? I was such in a mental funk that I was let's just avoid it, essentially.
Well, which is what you do, right? If you don't know the answer, if you don't know a path, if there is no viable solution in front of you, what do? You avoid.
And that's what
Distraction.
I did. Avoid. So then mean, after that, my aunt is a luxury wedding planner out here, super high-end, elegant events. You guys,
stunning.
Look her up on Instagram. These are $1 million weddings, $500,000 weddings, stunning. She's the best in the business. If you're getting married, you know who to call. So, anyways, I started working with her, thinking maybe let's explore a creative side. Maybe I'm going to enjoy doing this.
Which I actually think was maybe helpful because you had been in such a structured routine, and then you've also when you are in a major like finance, business, there's really no room for creative flow. And I don't think you had really done anything creative during that entire time, which is interesting because you are a very creative person.
Yeah.
And you do really enjoy that.
I love, I'm all about
that. We've always done, right? We've always kind of talked about random ideas. We want to do this. We want to do this. We want to do this.
All my, think about even now.
But
even now, if all my future goals of what I want to do are all creative based.
That's right.
But so then I worked with her for a bit. It was really cool, but it just wasn't for me. It's not what I saw myself doing long term. I didn't have the passion she had for it.
That's also very hard work.
Very hard work.
Physically taxing and demanding.
And I'm sorry, working with Indian people are not fucking easy. Okay, I'm gonna whisper that, but it's not easy. So it wasn't speaking to me.
Mm-hmm.
So then I went to another few months of grogging it out. What the hell am I doing? My mom bitching at me daily. And then I was like, okay, I love makeup. I've always loved makeup.
Yeah.
So I got an opportunity to film for this upcoming brand that's coming from Europe that needed someone to promote their videos and come to the studio and film for them. So then I started working for that company, and I was filming for them and doing all of those things.
Content creating.
I was their content creator.
Which is really cool.
It was a really cool experience. Not gonna lie though, a little bit of getting back to that is when people being, not that I blew up to this famous person, but being on film and seeing yourself on film, I understand why so many people are I need fillers, I need Botox, I need surgery, I need all these things because
God, yeah.
It's not easy. You start I would have to, not even that, sometimes I would be in the editing process of the videos, or a lot of the times, and it's you're I noticed this on my face, I noticed that on my face, and that was a big reason of why I stopped, was because it was no, I can't
really?
Did I not tell you that?
Yeah, I didn't know that.
I just felt at least, I don't know if I would be like that now, because I was young then.
Yeah.
And I feel so much more comfortable in my skin now.
Right.
And of who I am.
Right.
But I think back then when there was a little bit more insecurity, I definitely didn't like my face on camera.
And funny. I didn't know that.
I didn't like it.
I mean, I know that we're always critical of ourselves, right?
Yeah.
We're our own worst critic. And which, I mean, we were just talking about this prior to us recording, I was talking about the angle. And I was like, that's it. No more side angle.
Yeah.
My face looks so terrible on camera. Yeah. This is not okay. And I was even talking to you about Botox. And I was like, I need Botox. No, but it's because you start noticing things.
I think for me in that job is I was constantly seeing my face,
That makes sense.
And I mean, fun fact, I got to the point where I ended up getting under eye fillers. I don't know if I ever told you that.
No.
So I got under eye fillers back in 2017. I did it once.
Wow.
That's the only thing I've ever done, and they've dissolved out of my face now. They're obviously not there.
Right.
But that was the one thing I did do, and
interesting.
Because I would it would be little things where I didn't
that's all that's in your face. Literally 24/7 is your face, and you start, it's kind of like when you start looking at a picture long enough and it starts becoming distorted and you're like, why did I think this was a great picture to begin with?
No, literally.
It wasn't. When really it probably was. It's just the longer we look at something, the more we start to see its flaws, because that's what we're trained to do, unfortunately, as even in a society, right? And especially as women, we're trained to look at our flaws. I think it's probably one of the biggest issues that women face is constant, how can you be better?
Yeah.
How can you be better?
Yeah.
And which I think a lot of people face that, not just women, but it in regards to our physical.
Yeah.
How can you be better?
Totally.
That's hard.
It was hard. I don't think I would have the same perspective now. Because again, I think you can, I am so different now.
Same.
The confidence, everything, it's I will go up to anybody and I'm not even afraid of being turned down. Before I wasn't even like that. I can walk in a room and not be afraid.
That level of confidence is not there yet for me, but
you've seen my evolution.
You've
seen my evolution where it's if someone tells you something, it's bet, let me show you.
Yeah.
I know. Not in a cocky way. It's just I'm comfortable in my skin.
Yeah.
But at that point, I wasn't. And so I went through that. And, things just didn't work out with the company, yada, yada, yada. But, hey, I understand, like, girls in the media and or even anybody. Like, it's so quick for us to be there and rip people and just be like, look at her face or look at that. Like, it's not easy being out there.
Yeah.
It's not easy putting yourself out there. And then it's so easy to be a keyboard warrior and being did you see this and this? And it's like, all right, let me see you do it. Like, people don't understand the effects of what it has on your self-esteem.
Yeah, there is, and I think that's something that's not, I agree with you. I think that's something that's not talked about a lot, is the vulnerability that is actually tied to social media. And I mean, there's a lot to talk about just with social media, because, and maybe why things are so heavily filtered, because they're staring at themselves and they just keep looking at it and they keep seeing their flaws. So they keep on filtering and doing whatever they can, photoshopping and adjusting to make them, I'm finally pretty.
Yeah.
Right. And now I can post this, like with with their body. And even now, even just taking a normal picture, nobody takes a fucking normal picture anymore.
Yep.
No one does the just like, hey, let's smile. Like, no one does that. It's always like, okay, is my angle right? Like, do I have this? Like, oh God, this lighting's not it. What's behind me? Like, do it again. Like, I've even seen where now people are getting smarter and it's like whoever's taking the picture, but they put their phone on top. Yeah. Like, so it's like, so you can see yourself, which I will say that sometimes I do appreciate that because I'm better if I see myself. I think we all are. But just kind of how shitty that really is, which is another reason why we should, another problem with social media and with all the bullshit that's out there. And we should applaud people when they are real. 100%. And we should, again, as women, right, that whole women wanting to support women, like, let's be kinder to one another.
That's a big one. Be kinder. I have never sat there and ever commented like,
I've never commented. I've never actually, here, I'll be honest. I can 100% just be like, oh my God, look at her lips. Like, they're so fucking fake, or her fake tits or whatever. Like, you can tell her ass is fake, blah, 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 blah. Like, I will call it out in my head.
But you'll never write it.
But I'll never write it. Yeah. It doesn't get me off the hook. That doesn't make me a better person.
I think sometimes people judge without realizing they're judging. It's just like these thoughts that happen.
Hardcore judge.
These eternal thoughts. And, but yeah, regardless, people need to be nicer and
be kinder to one another, because that's hard to put. Even this podcast has really, I don't know about you, but it's challenged my vulnerability. It's challenged.
I know for you, I think I've been through this, so it doesn't.
Yeah,
and I'm like, who I am now is different, but I can see with you. But even like with our podcast, we get comments when guys don't agree with us. Then it'll be like, well, look at her face and makeup, or look at all this stuff. And it's like, bro, chill out. Like, calm down. I can't even see your photo. Yeah, you're ripping me. Like, at least I have the balls to do this. Let me see you get on camera.
I have the balls to put my fat face on the camera.
Like, shut the hell up. Like, like, it's so, that irritates me. It's so easy for people to hide behind a keyboard. And it's like, get out of your mom's basement and get a life.
Well, it brings up a kind of a good point, because it's like, just because you, I even go back and forth with this for myself. It's just because you're in the public light, like, just because somebody's in the public eye, does it give you a right or the justification in calling them out?
Yeah.
And I know some people, like with celebrities, I think there are instances when celebrities get irritated, and I'm like, but this is the life that you chose. So don't. Like, also go dry your tears with your $100 bills that you can toss in the fire. But that's the thing. At the end of the day, we all are still human. We all still have feelings. It doesn't matter how rich, how poor, how good looking, how not. We all still have feelings. We all still have a heart that can feel and that can hurt and that can break.
Yeah.
So just because they are public facing,
and you don't know them,
does not justify. I don't want to say gives you the right, because it's not about that. It doesn't justify your comments. And we're all going to think what we want to think. I'm not going to sit here and claim that I can be such a judgmental bitch. Like,
everybody can be judged like about something. I get it.
It's really, just a reminder, like, be kind to people, and even if they do look super fucking fake,
maybe they like it.
And here's the thing, maybe they like it, which that's fine, to each their own, but also maybe that should tell you that, they're not necessarily happy.
Yeah.
Or they have fallen into the bullshit of our American beauty standards, right? Sure. That are fucked. And that's kind of sad. It's like when we see someone that, like I recently saw an article about this kid, he's 19 years old, that has spent like 33,000 euro or something to look like David Beckham.
Oh my God.
And it sucks because he missed the mark. He missed the mark.
Yeah.
But that's what's sad. 19 years old. Like, you're still a kid and you're still a baby. So you know that there's a lot of self-esteem issues, but I know we're kind of straying from our career topic, but be kind. Everyone, let's just be kinder to one another and ourselves.
So yeah, that happened. We worked for the makeup company, cool experience, all of that. That ended, and then I went back to my, okay, what now?
But a question for you though is, because you touched on it about how the makeup, the content creating for makeup, how that really did affect your self-esteem, which I didn't know. But how was like the whole like not knowing where you were going, like the whole career thing, like affecting your self-esteem?
Oh, it affected me a lot, and I think it affected me so much because, like, for my family, they were like, this is not what we want for you. Like, what are you doing? You're old enough. You need to get up and start doing things. And I think what also affected me so much is nobody understood what I was going through. Everybody thought I just didn't want to work. Everybody just thought that I was being lazy. Like, the assumption. My family didn't, like, we would get into so many arguments about this, and I would break down because it's like, it's not that I don't want to.
Right.
I'm just lost. And like, nobody was there to understand why I was lost, or kind of, not that I needed someone to like hold my hand through this, but I don't know. I was in a mental funk. I didn't know. I thought like dating would like avoid that because, I went like a serial dating on so many guys.
Yeah,
but then
you did.
That became an issue with dating too, because no guy wants to be with a girl that doesn't have their shit together.
I remember that. But I remember how that
affected me too.
It did affect you because I think there was one particular instance where it was just like you knew that it was because, and I don't know, I think this person might have said it, but it was like you knew it was because like you didn't have like that career and that path.
And I didn't have that path. And I would beat myself.
And you were never taken seriously.
I was never taken seriously. I think that was a big thing, is I was never taken seriously. And it's like, I just felt very misunderstood. People, like, it wasn't that, hey, I'm just this lazy whatever girl. Like, I just needed my time to figure out my path. And I think that is okay. And society and my culture especially has made it like, no, you need to know what you're doing. There's no time to waste. And
well, just even when you graduate high school and you go into college, you're 17, 18 years old. And all of a sudden you're supposed to pick a major that this is what you want to do for the rest of your life to carry you into your true adulthood. And that's going to like set you up for retirement. Like, that's literally, you're trying to make that decision for future you when you're 18 years old.
It's ridiculous.
Like, when you're an idiot, right? I mean, like, not everyone's an idiot at 18, but I think most people would agree. Like, I was not the...
I was slacking off. My priority was college, but again, it was partying in college.
Maybe you're not stupid, but your priorities are not what they're going to be at 30 or 40 or 50, right? You're not thinking about retirement, and you're not thinking about college in terms of what major should I choose that's going to provide me a stable career, opportunity for development and growth. And it's, is this, industry recession resistant and bullshit like that? What about you're not thinking about that. You're thinking about like, fuck yeah, freedom. Like that's, I'm in my parents' house, if that's the route you're taking.
Yeah. And I think, I think a lot of people could relate to this. I don't think it's talked about that much. Like, I think everybody thinks you graduate college, everybody needs to know what they're doing. And I'm talking to you're talking to someone who not until their mid to late 20s, closer to late 20s, figured it out. You know what I mean? Not till like 26, 27 that I actually started to figure it out.
Right.
Right. And then I ended up getting into real estate, and it just clicked. It just fit. Like, the fact that I don't have a schedule, the fact that I'm out there meeting people, the fact that just everything about it
good setup
just
for you.
Clicked for me. And, and I'm a salesperson.
You are a salesperson.
I'm personable. Like it's just, and then
because you're genuine, but yeah.
And then just being out there, like showing homes and like, those are things I like. And
well, like, because this is actually something that I did enjoy when I was a server. Is that not every day looked the same.
Yeah.
And also what I did enjoy about retail is not every day was the same. It was, you had kind of the same basic outline and you knew what you were supposed to do and you had kind of your standard responsibilities and kind of the standard course of the day, but you kind of never knew what was going to happen. You didn't know, there were some surprises, and especially in retail, you never...
Who's going to yell at you today?
Yeah, you never know, like, who was going to call you a racist bitch today.
I mean, I hate to say it. Not that I'm a very customer service person, but I did get the most complaints.
You didn't get the most complaints.
The girls would be like, she wasn't excited enough for me.
That's true.
I'm sorry. I'm not, as anyone who knows me, I'm not like this, like,
You're not over the top, emotional,
like, oh my God, you're getting married? Like, that's not my personality.
I'm the one who's like, oh my God.
And that's not me at all.
And that's not you.
And girls would complain and be like,
they were pissed.
She wasn't excited enough for me. I want a new stylist.
Yeah. I remember it was very kind of hard to tell whenever one of your brides said yes to the dress.
Yeah.
Because you'd be like, yay.
Okay, it was not that bad. It was not that bad.
I mean,
it was not that bad.
It kind of was. You were just like, congratulations.
But we had, all of you at the suite were like over the top.
Yeah. So because I do love weddings.
No,
and
then
weddings and all
next
that good
to
stuff.
me, like you two being not even actually, Kimmy was not over the top. Kimmy was kind of like me.
I think was more reserved.
It was me complaints and then Kimmy complaints. Yeah. Okay, me and Kimmy were the complaints, but the rest of you fuckers were so over the top that the expectation was like,
it wasn't over the top because it was genuine. All right, I was genuinely happy that Brittany found her wedding dress.
I also was genuinely happy, but I'm not someone who's gonna jump for Brittany. Like Brittany.
I was very like, hooray!
Like as if you're attending Brittany's wedding, as if you're Brittany's maid of honor. Yeah, that's not me.
I was like, oh my gosh,
see you at the wedding.
Yeah, the best to you and Scott. So excited.
But no,
I was genuinely happy for my brides, and you were too.
I was genuinely, but I just show it differently.
Yes, we show it differently. There's a very big difference between we show it differently for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, but you are a good salesperson because you are genuine. But I think that's why real estate does fit for you because it doesn't look the same.
It doesn't look the same.
And you are helping. It's funny because you are helping people with another big purchase.
No, but this is the biggest
purchase.
But it's so easy for me to talk about it. It's so easy for me to like even shoot in there and be like, oh, you should do this and this and this with your house.
Yeah.
Like it makes sense. It's been great since I've joined the business.
Right.
And I'm happy. I'm with a great company. We're coworkers again in different ways.
We are coworkers again, which is so exciting.
It's so fun. I love who I work with.
Yeah.
It's good.
It's a
but
great company
I guess the moral of the story is that it's okay to figure it out and take your time because I am someone who took a lot of time and it ended up being okay. It's okay to find your passions. I literally went from wanting to be a lawyer to now a real estate agent. Like life can take you anywhere.
Right.
And sometimes you just have to roll with it and like obviously keep pushing. You can't just wait for miracles to happen.
Right.
But if you do get into that mental funk or whatever, like it's okay.
Right.
Take your time, take your process. And as cheesy as it sounds, like trust the process.
Trust the process.
But
Jesus, take the wheel. Well, I have a question though. Like because when you said you felt really misunderstood, which I think a lot of people can relate to in just different areas of their life. Again, no matter what age, there's maybe some points where you're just like, I don't know. I feel like people aren't getting it. I know that I definitely feel that way a lot of times when it comes to dating in certain specific situations. So what would you have liked someone to have said to you in those moments of when you were misunderstood or when you were feeling lost and you were in a mental funk and it wasn't because you weren't lazy, it was just you didn't know and you didn't have direction. So what actually would have helped you?
I think for me, and coming from the family I come from, and just not even the family I come from, the culture I come from, I think it was very much of an attack. Like, just like like I said, like you're lazy, you don't know what you want, you just don't want to work, you're unmotivated. That was a big one. You're unmotivated. You're unmotivated. And it's like, I'm not fucking unmotivated. And you know this, when my heart is into something, I'm there. I mean, I'm fucking here with a sprained ankle right now. Like, it's when I'm committed, I am committed.
It's true.
But when I'm figuring it out, I'm figuring it out.
Right. But that's what I'm saying. Like, what could have...
I wish instead of making it like an attack of my personality or like an attack of like, you just don't want to do it. I wish somebody would have just been like, well, let's figure this out. Let's break this down.
Yeah, maybe asking more questions instead of assuming. Ask more questions.
Like, let's try new things, or like, I don't know, just be more supportive, I guess. More like, instead of an attack, but just more, let's figure this out together.
Yeah, having a conversation.
Well, how about we try this avenue, or how about we try this type of job, or I know so-and-so in this field, or whatever, instead of it just being a brutal attack of like, you're lazy, like, which was what it was.
Yeah, it was a constant assumption that this is what was holding you back was your laziness.
Yeah.
And that's all it could have been.
Yeah.
Right? When it's like, no, that's not necessarily it. Right? And again, kind of even going back to when we see somebody who does things to their body and we're like, oh, they probably just want attention or whatever. And it's like, that may not necessarily be it. So why don't you ask questions?
Yeah. I mean, it's so true. I think people would look at me even throughout my 20s, unless they actually knew me. I don't think anybody would know what I was going through.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think anybody would, like, I come across very put together.
You do.
Even when I'm not put together.
Even when you're spraining your ankle.
I'm somehow I managed to appear put together. So.
Which I think is a superpower of women, to be honest, is we have this ability to seem like we have it together. And again, because I think that we feel like we have to have it together, that we have to be superwoman, you have to be super mom. I think a lot. That's something that I'm trying to keep in the back of my head now, because I do have a lot of friends who have children, and I know that there's got to be a lot of pressure to kind of, again, but yeah, just instead of assuming, ask questions.
Yeah.
Ask questions. Well, and another PSA.
Try to understand.
Be kind and ask questions.
Understand, because it's not as black and white as it seems.
Very true.
It's never black. You don't know people's journey. You don't know. And I know career is something that a lot of people struggle with. A lot of people don't know what they want. A lot of people don't feel fulfilled in what they're doing. And it's common.
It is. I'm not trying to constantly bring gender into it, but just as women, and this is actually something or a reason that we wanted to kind of have this platform or use the podcast for, is to kind of talk about the things that do affect women. And it's, it's not to sound bitter or anything like that, but it's just like, yeah, this is where I don't think we're ever super encouraged, right, to figure it out, because we're not supposed to be like the breadwinners of the family or whatever it is, or we're, I don't know, there's some archaic thoughts about what a woman's position is.
I don't think it's like that anymore.
I don't think it's like that anymore. Yeah. I think it's obviously definitely evolved. It's interesting how we've always kind of been different. But in the career sense, I feel like career has actually been the only thing in my life that I've ever kind of had
straight and
pretty
strong.
decent. Yeah. I mean, there were kind of times of like, I'm trying to make more money, or I want to do something different. I just don't maybe know exactly where to go. But with Nordstrom, after getting hired as a stylist, it went into management, and I've just been in people management from that point on. And I've loved it. And that's the path for me. I'm good at it. But that's pretty much only been the area where I've always been very confident, and which kind of, again, not totally misunderstood, but people always think that because I do feel confident in the job and in the career path, I must be confident in everything else. And I'm like, absolutely not. And there are times where definitely in my career, I'm always like, I don't think I could do that job. I always doubt myself, but then I do prove myself to myself that I can do it and that I am capable. But yeah, it doesn't always translate. And I think that's how some people kind of maybe made that assumption about you, that you are confident over in maybe the physical, or in you appear to be very put together. So they would assume that it translates into the career arena.
I mean, now it does.
Now it does.
Now it's looking correct.
Yeah. Now everything's starting to match up.
Now that part's great. Before I had the relationship, and well, actually, no, I had the career during the relationship. But
right.
yeah, no, I know. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's interesting though. Yeah, I've never, it doesn't, it's interesting to how it just doesn't translate. And that's always the question is people are always kind of like, for me, why? They're like, no, but you do your job so well. Like you're a great communicator. You're this, that's crazy that you're not confident in dating or with men or just about my physical appearance and what I'm worth. And that's why I put up with bullshit. Like, we'll get into it some other point. That's a different conversation.
I do agree with that because looking at you do come across as a confident person.
Yeah. Again, appearing like,
yeah.
I mean,
your job is also that. You have to lead. You have to manage.
I do. Yeah, I lead. I have to manage. I can't sit there and be like, oh, well, I don't know, guys. What do you think?
Yeah.
That's not me. It's funny that I know how to lead people. I can do that and I do it well and I do it effectively. And it's funny, even how I change. Like when I'm talking about work, my voice changed.
You're like, I'm
like, no, I know I can speak to this. But when you start talking about boys, I'm like, I don't know. It's very interesting how we've been opposite in that. But again, kind of no matter where you're at, right, we always kind of have these insecurities. And it's funny how they carry over into, especially with the career and how you mentioned that the insecurities in the career, how it carried over into dating.
Oh, I used to hate when people would ask me what I do for work. I used to, like, if I would be out and about, or if, like, I'm like...
So what do you do?
I got a great bathroom.
It's a great question, Steve.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That was one of the big things I hated, either, like, meeting someone for a date or going out and about, was when people would ask me, what do I do? And I'd be like,
a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
An entrepreneur.
Imports, exports.
Imports, exports, literally. You'll find out.
Yeah. I mean, TBD.
I don't think you need to know yet. But that insecurity for sure, because I felt like it was embarrassing for me.
Yeah.
Like, I wasn't happy in the position I was in. I was like, no one's going to take me seriously.
Right. And I think, again, not to put your whole history on blast here.
Yeah.
It's just been sun on blast today.
I know.
My favorite type of days.
Right, that's fine.
No, but I think that there was that one specific instance where it was definitely, now we know what to call it, a situationship. And there was that time where he had told you, I have to end this because I actually want to seriously date. And like, you're not it. And I remember talking to you about it. And because again, if I'm your friend, I'm your greatest hype woman. I'm like, fuck that dude. Yeah. He doesn't know. He's got this. He got this. And I remember you telling me like, it was because I'm not being taken seriously because I don't have a career. And he didn't see that.
He didn't. I know he didn't explicitly say it.
Yes.
But I knew.
Yes, you knew.
I knew.
He didn't have to sit there and be like, I think you're one step away from being homeless. Like,
okay, jobless. I was never at that level, okay?
But again, he didn't have to say, I don't think that you have a clear understanding of what you want in your life, and I don't want that, and I don't take you seriously. Ergo, we need to end this. He didn't have to, but you knew.
I knew. I told you that.
Yeah.
I remember telling you. It was a blow.
And I think it rocked you.
It rocked me just because it's not that I wanted, like, again, people are like, well, if you didn't want it, why don't you snap out of it? Like, it's not that simple. And I think and only someone who is going through this understands that it's not that simple.
Yeah. Which, basically, kind of moral of the story, you don't, I would really encourage people, because I've ran into this, but in the dating scene, and when I tell people about kind of certain things that I'm feeling and people don't understand, ask questions, like really to kind of just like sum all of this up. Because I know we zigzagged again, but to really sum up, like ask people questions and, seek to have a conversation that like you're actually truly listening to them, not to respond, but to actually understand what they're going through. Don't assume, don't project obviously, but don't assume, like have those supportive conversations. So, and about anything, it does not matter. But if someone's trying to tell you something about themselves, or if they're saying things like, oh, I'm not too sure, or I feel lost, or if they're doing something over and over again, I know I've had very supportive friends and again, the situationship that I had been in, and people had asked, why do you keep doing this? And I remember one of my friends asked me that, and it was just like, that's a great question. Like, thank you for asking, right? Like, hey, let's get to the root of it. There's always a root. So be kind, ask questions.
Yeah. That, supportive. And, you know, again, if you're struggling with your career thing, I've gone through it, a lot of different things. As you saw, I wore many different hats. Like, and even there were things I wanted to be a buyer at some point too.
I wanted
to be a fashion buyer. Like, there's stuff that, you know, I didn't even get into, but there was a big journey of this, and it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay.
Be okay. Yeah.
I'm fine. You'll be fine.
I'm fine. It's fine. But try to find, really kind of surround yourself then with people that are asking you questions. And I remember that's actually how I figured out what I wanted to do. Because even when I was in a managerial position at Nordstrom, I remember that one of my store managers, she asked me, she said, what do you really love about the job? Like, about this job that you're doing right now, managing, what do you love about it? And I remember saying, I really love the people. I love coaching. I love teaching. I love developing people and seeing people succeed. And she said, then that's what you need to go into. Yeah, and for Nordstrom, that translated to me going into support instead of sales or sales staff. But I realized that's what I needed to do. But if she hadn't asked me that question, I probably would have found it, but maybe later. And I probably would have gone through so many other bullshit positions that I didn't need to go through just because someone asked a question.
Yeah,
and it was a question for me to pull, you know, for me to unearth that answer, instead of just assuming, right, oh, well, your next step is going to be this, right? Because at that point, my next step would have been to go to a department manager. But she said, you know, what do you really enjoy? And it's incredible what can happen when you really do offer that support and you just simply ask a question instead of trying to give advice. I think that's another huge thing.
That's a big one.
Yeah. It's not always about you giving your advice, and it's not about you always trying to have the answer for your friend. Maybe just sit with them in the process. So whatever it is, and if you need someone to sit in the process with you, again, getting back to expressing your needs and your wants, like, do it. Say it. Like, if it's with your friends, like, hey, I'm not doing great. And I think a lot about my friends or our friends that are moms, and not that anyone's like express. Any of my friends don't think I'm talking about you. Yeah. It's not. It's just I want to be cognizant and try to understand their point of view, because this is a whole different part of their lives and they're balancing a lot. So I'm not going to have an answer because I'm not a mom, right? So I'm not going through the same things, but at least I can sit in it with you and I can ask you questions that I'm not here to give advice. I'm here to just ask you questions to help you through the process, to try to find an answer.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And our 4 viewers out there, I don't know if we've moved up to 5 or 6
We might
yet.
have moved up to 5.
Okay.
Shout out to Marissa, because Marissa Lamb, one of my friends, I think might be our 5th listener.
Perfect. Wherever we're moving up to, like, our emails are there, our DM, We're on TikTok. We're on Instagram. Like,
we're all over the place.
Please feel free to reach out. Send us your scenarios, your questions, things you want us to talk about. I'd love to just hear it, speak about it, and go from there. Like, we want to hear from y'all.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, everyone, for tuning in.
I know it was a little bit more of a serious episode.
More of a serious, because we came off a very spicy.
Very spicy. And I'm going to tell you that episode's going to continue.
Yes, if you did not listen to episode 3, go listen to episode 3.
It's going to get spicier on the next one.
Yes.
I am already telling you, forewarning. Episode 5 is going to be...
We're going to have, might have another guest show up. That's going to be very exciting.
Yeah.
But thanks for listening, everyone. Catch you next time.
See you soon.
Bye.